Hi everyone. Before we get the episode started, this is Adrian with a quick public service announcement. Since we recorded this episode, some very exciting news that came out, which was this year's Rondo Award nominations. And so I just wanted to quickly mention, because I'm very proud, that Rod and I are first on the list for Favourite Commentator of 2025 for our commentary on The Curse of the Voodoo, which came out from Vinegar Syndrome last year. If you would like to vote for us, and we would be very grateful if you did, then just go to the Rondo Award website, and then I think you have to email it in like it's 2003 and tell them which ones you'd like to vote for. There are a couple of other things worth mentioning, of course. Rod, who I think eventually he has to get nominated for the Monster Kid Award, right? Like, he's nominated for a Rondo every year and still hasn't won. He is up again under Favourite Commentator along with the Troys, Howarth and Gwyn, for their track on Frankenstein's Bloody Terror 3D. And Rod's blog, The Bloody Pit, is also up for best like multimedia thing. I don't know, something like that. He should really be up for best podcaster, right? I don't think we'll ever get nominated for best podcast because we're not really a horror podcast. I also want to mention that under Best Blu-ray Collection, you can find Danza Macabre Volume 4, which has Terror Creatures from the Grave in it. And, of course, we did a commentary track for that. You can also find under Best Blu-ray of 2025, The Man Who Could Cheat Death. And I wrote a booklet essay for that one from Vinegar Syndrome. So we are well represented in there, which is very exciting. Now, of course, everyone loves to win an award. These awards are voted for by the public, so it's all down to, people being bothered to send emails in to the website. But yeah, give it a go. If you'd like to vote for us, we would be tremendously grateful. Anyway, enough about me begging for votes. Here is our latest episode.
You've locked yourself out, you silly girl. Don't forget this damn machine. What on earth is going on around here? Who's it? Is there someone there? The human man. We must find him and kill him.
Whether invoked or not invoked, evil will come.
You run that thing! Come out! Coming out! I kill you! I kill you! Where are you? You murdering bastard!
Hello, welcome to Wild Wild Podcast. My name is Adrian Smith, and I am joined by the man who puts the Cobra into any mission. It's Rod Barnett.
Yes, hello, everyone.
I mean, we need to talk about the name of this film, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we need to talk about the various names of this film.
Yeah. So, yeah, how are you, Rod? How's things going?
Not too bad. Trying to get things geared up to really try to get the podcasting thing back on track. I'm having a little bit of trouble getting things scheduled, but things continue apace.
You still seem to be releasing episodes at a prolific rate.
That's because I am cheating like crazy. So
fair enough. Did I see something this morning? You've done an episode on the Jess Franco film Attack of the Robots?
Yes, currently editing that one. Should be out, I'm hoping maybe this weekend or possibly next week. It's a Beyond Nashi episode over on the Nashi cast because there are a number of people that are involved in that particular Jess Franco joint that worked with Paul Nashi at various times, including the actor who played the Mummy in Assignment Terror, believe it or not.
And I'm sure I've said this on here before, but much like Woody Allen, I prefer Jess Franco's earlier funny ones. So,
They weren't all funny. I mean, Attack of the Robots is, don't get me wrong. But
yeah, I don't think I've seen that one actually, but I must track that down. Is there a good release of that somewhere?
there is an excellent Blu-ray of it that was released over here by Kino. It's a redemption release. Highly recommended because the film just looks gorgeous.
Yeah, that's cool. I am not much of a, I don't know that much about Jess Franco, and I have seen several of his films, but that's still only scratching the surface, seeing as how he made about 3,000 during his career.
Roughly a few hundred, yes.
Yeah, I think since our last episode, they have announced the track we did for So Young, So Lovely, So Vicious.
Yes. The film with tons of viciousness and loads of nudity. Yes.
Starring Gloria Guida. And that's the last track that you and I recorded together.
True.
That was an interesting one to do. Not sure, I can't remember when it's coming out, but I know that Kino have announced it, so it's out there somewhere. Do you have anything else coming up that you want to tell people about?
Nothing that's been officially announced quite yet. There's at least one on the horizon and another that has yet to be recorded. Maybe we should remind people that we did do the commentary track for Raro's release of Body Puzzle, the Lamberto Bava film, and the Young, Violent, and Dangerous, the Italian crime film.
And they are both out.
Yes, they're both out and available. And although Young, Violent, and Dangerous stars Thomas Milian, do not think that it's a Thomas Milian film. It's a very different ball of wax. So.
And yeah, that's the film where the first time I watched it, I kept thinking, so when's Thomas Milian going to turn up? And it turned out he was the main character.
And he's there all along.
Yeah, he just looked so different. I didn't recognize him. Yeah, that is a great film.
Yeah, it's weird what happens with Thomas Milian when you shave his beard, make him get a shower, and put him in a suit.
And comb his hair.
Oh, yes, exactly.
I loved that story about him, how his house was basically just full of mirrors. Every angle possible.
I know. Vanity, thy name is Thomas Milian.
Yeah, funny. Anyway, so we are into our Donald Pleasence season. And I mean, this film just about scrapes in on that because he's
barely,
in it for
man.
about all of 3 minutes, I think.
No, I clocked it. It's 6.5 minutes.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, that's just under 10%, I guess. What is that, like?
Well, it's
7%?
gotten to the point where I'm starting to fear because so many of the films that we're doing this season, this Donald Pleasence quote unquote season, are films that neither of us have seen, and so we know he's in it, but we have no idea how much he participated in the actual film itself. And so I've started making a note. As soon as he first appears, I make a note. Okay, so particularly in this film, he appears 27 minutes in.
Right.
And less than 10 minutes later, he's out of the film. So my assumption is he shot on this movie for possibly 2 days, maybe one.
Yeah, because there's 2 locations, I think, isn't there?
Yeah.
But he's still got more screen time than Luciano Pigozzi, so that's something at least.
Oh, I know. He's only in one scene.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, and how about the surprise appearance of a brilliant Italian director of exploitation films of every type, Enzo Castellari, as an actor. He pops up. And
he's very good. And his brother is in here as well, Ennio Girolami. Although I've lost track of which one he was, because his name is in the credits, but not which character he played. And I've been looking at pictures of Ennio Girolami and trying to work out who he was in this film. And I think he was the guy who's taking money from Luciano Pigozzi, but
Could be.
I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, so let's talk about this film from Fabrizio De Angelis, starring a whole heap of people, including, as we said, Donald Pleasence and Enzo G. Castellari. It is, of course, Cobra Mission. Yeah, this is so we got, okay, first of all then, Cobra Mission. I don't know about you, but I didn't see a single snake in this film.
No.
Or even hear the word Cobra mentioned, or even the word mission, I don't think.
Yeah, this is a movie of many titles, but most of the titles involve the word Cobra and mission, and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
In the States, supposedly, it was released under Operation Nam,
Right.
which is still a bad title. I don't mind Cobra Mission as a title. It just bears absolutely no relation to anything that happens within the story.
No.
But I will say that we may have gotten off lucky, considering that in Norway it was apparently called Rainbow Professionals, which makes zero sense.
Is it because at the Stallone film Cobra come out around this time? Is that why?
No. Cobra came out, I want to say a year or two later. I mean, maybe they had heard about it. I'm pretty sure Cobra is...
Is it 87 then?
I think so. I mean, no, it came out in 86. So they may have heard of it as as it being in production at the time this was made. I don't know. So maybe they were attempting to kind of, rook some people in. But if so, where they would have gotten most of the fooled people involved in this would have been by calling it Cobra in the United States, and they missed the boat there somehow. Maybe that's why it's called Mission, Mission Nam in the States, because they were afraid of being sued. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very odd. And it was also known in Germany, it is The Return of the Wild Geese.
Yep.
Because this was a German-Italian co-production produced by the legendary Swissploitation producer Erwin C. Dietrich, who, produced lots of classics. One of the last films he produced was Kill a Condom.
I didn't know he produced that. Oh, my Lord.
Yeah. And he did this kind of Wild Geese rip-off trilogy, which actually more than a trilogy. There are 4 of them. 3 of them were directed by Antonio Margheriti. Codename Wild Geese, Commando Leopard, and The Commander.
Right.
I think they're all Margheriti, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then Cobra Mission in the middle of that. But he mainly produced sexploitation with titles like 6 Swedish Girls in a Boarding School, Love Letters of a Portuguese Nun. That's Franco, isn't it?
Yeah.
He produced Ilse the Wicked Warden,
Yeah.
the Jack the Ripper with Klaus Kinski, all kinds of stuff.
That's another Just Franco. He did a number of Just Franco.
Oh yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah. She Devils of the SS. But he also, one that you would like, The Ribald Tales of Robin Hood.
I need to see that one. And as far as it being something that I would like, everything you've named so far is something that I've either already seen or want to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly.
And he also did direct about 50 movies. So yeah, he was a really interesting guy, originally from Switzerland, but really made more of these films in Germany. And very interesting guy. Now, going back to the titles, the working title for this in Italy was Cinque Uomini Contra Tutti, which is 5 Men Against All.
That's a better title.
Yeah, but aren't there only 4 of them?
Well, kinda.
I mean,
until near the end. I mean, were they trying to pretend that Donald Pleasence was a bigger part of the movie than he
maybe
he was? I don't know.
Yeah, or Cameron Mitchell, maybe.
Oh, you mean Gordon Mitchell? Gordon Mitchell is that?
Gordon Mitchell, sorry, Cameron Mitchell. Gordon Mitchell.
If Cameron Mitchell had been in this, I would be thrilled. That would be fine.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a funny old thing, and obviously now so the Cobra in the room here is that I've never seen Rambo.
Oh wow, are you
And
kidding?
no, and I've never
Now,
seen
oh wow, okay.
most of those kind of American Nam
The Vietnam
movies.
exploitation films.
Yeah. What's the Platoon? I've never seen Platoon.
That's an actual good movie. Yeah,
Yeah. And I've never seen Missing in Action, which I believe,
that's an actual not good movie.
but isn't it a similar plot to this one? This idea of
Well,
there being
here's the thing.
Americans being held 10 years later, still trapped in Vietnam.
Yeah. There was an entire subgenre of these things that were
Mm.
being churned out in the 80s because, Reagan was in the White House and we were all desperate to think that we could somehow magically win the Vietnam War now somehow. And
Hmm.
don't get me wrong. When I'm actually shocked that you've never seen Rambo First Blood Part
I know.
2, I'm
Hmm.
shocked only because it is such a ubiquitous 80s action film. It is kind of
I know.
the template for a lot of things that the Italians ripped off just indiscriminately for nearly a decade or more. And there's a
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I've seen a lot of these spaghetti combat films, just not the original films they're ripping off.
right, but that's the thing is Cobra Mission isn't really a Rambo ripoff except kind of tangentially. What it really is a ripoff of is a film called Uncommon Valor from 1983.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, and I haven't seen Uncommon Valor since I saw it as a teenager in 1983. I remember liking it, but I also remember being a teenager. So there's no
Mm.
telling. I mean, it had a great cast. Don't get me wrong; it's led by Gene Hackman, but the story
Okay.
being told here is pretty much the same thing. Now, this one adds a bit of nastiness at the end of it that we'll get to as we talk about the movie, I suspect. But the fact that this is really much more Uncommon Valor than Rambo is something that you should be aware of because
Okay.
although the action sequences in this film do follow what I would refer to as the standard Rambo rules, which is none of the villains can shoot worth a damn, and
Hmm.
our heroes seem to be bulletproof or insubstantial when bullets pass near them, and whose every shot is on target every time.
Yeah. It's very much the Star Wars approach to
Yes,
combat, isn't it?
yes, exactly. Where the theory I've had for years, which is that Star Wars would be half as long and have a very different ending if any of the stormtroopers just took that helmet off. But
I know.
but what we have here is a pretty interesting excursion into macaroni combat in the 80s. It's pretty standard for what you get. It's exciting. It is, as I just described, fairly ridiculous in that the action sequences are. There are a few of them that are believable, but most of the time, it's
Hmm.
one of those things where it's just somewhere between mildly and stupidly ridiculous. The sequence with the helicopter takes the cake for having me roll my eyes, but enjoying it nevertheless because it's really kind of done with a lot of verve. But I enjoyed this film, but it is while being completely typical of the period, it's I'm never going to hold it up. For instance, I would say you should probably see Rambo First Blood Part 2. Not because I think it's a good movie, but because it is an incredibly well-made movie. It's one of those things that you can immediately see why it was such a massive hit. It's bright, it's glossy, it's incredibly well produced. It is kind of there's a reason it's the template for so many movies that were made after it. This film kind of takes the hint from films like that and Commando. Not that Commando was a World War II, or I'm sorry, a Vietnam vet film, but it is a film in which the uh, the violence and the action sequences become a little too comic at times.
Hmm. Yeah. And there are a lot of exploding huts in this
Tons
film,
of them.
which again reminded me a lot of those other Margheriti films that we just mentioned. They're very similar production values.
Yeah, and the Margheriti films, I've seen those three that you rattled off there a moment ago that were produced by the same, the same. And I have to say, I'm a fan of those movies, but then again, I'm always a little more partial toward an Antonio Margheriti film than some of the others that were being produced during this period, just because he's somebody who seems to almost always have a better handle on keeping things not just lively but grounded to a degree.
I think I did one of those films with you on the Bloody Pit years ago.
We did. And the thing is, they're fairly.
I've forgotten which one.
Yeah, that's just it. They're fairly interchangeable to a degree. I mean, they have different casts, which kind of give you a different flavor for whatever is going on. But I don't remember watching those particular Macaroni Combat films and rolling my eyes and just having to go along with whatever mad thing they've decided to put on screen for us.
And let's mention the director, Fabrizio De Angelis.
Better known apparently as a producer before he became a director. And he produced some biggies.
Yes, yeah, quite a lot. And he produced a lot of the films he's directed himself as well.
Yeah.
But there are some titles in there that I'm quite intrigued by that I've never seen. I mean, I didn't realize that he produced the Bronx Warriors trilogy, so that explains the Enzo Castellari connection.
Yeah.
But he also produced things like Zombie Flesh Eaters and Zombie Holocaust, Day of the Cobra, House by the Cemetery, New York Ripper, loads of good stuff.
The Beyond. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Oh, and Manhattan Baby. So we've got our Christopher Connolly connection there. So.
Oh, of course, yeah. And then classics like Ratman. But also, you must know this film. There's a film on his list here that I'm unfamiliar with, known as Raiders of the Magic Ivory, which sounds like it combines Indiana Jones with Vietnam.
I don't know that one. Maybe I know it under another title. What?
It's directed by Tonino Ricci.
Okay.
And stars the son of Robert Mitchum.
Raiders of the Magic Ivory, 1988.
Yeah.
James Mitchum. Oh my! I will watch it immediately.
I know, right? Exactly. That one sounds like it's right up our street.
With Dardando Sacchetti's name attached to the script, and it's still being rated very poorly. I'm definitely putting that on my find it soon list. Yeah.
I know, right? This happens every time. It's whenever we look at these people's names and their films, we're like, oh, wait a minute, what's that? But he broke into directing in the early 80s with Thunder, and followed that up a few years later with Thunder 2. Again, I haven't seen that, but that looks like a kind of Rocky type
Rambo.
film.
It's Rambo ripoff with the main character. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I said Rocky. I meant Rambo. Incidentally, I've never seen Rocky, but
oh wow, you should at least you see it once.
I know, right? But sorry, yeah. So it's a kind of Rambo ripoff, isn't it?
Yeah, and the main character is actually a Native American, and those movies were mostly shot in the desert Southwest here in the States. And I've got all three of them, but I've only watched the first one. I thoroughly enjoyed the first one, but I knew after watching the first one I should probably take a break. So cut to 5 years later, and I still haven't watched the other two. But the Thunder movies, those are the ones that a lot of action movie fans swear by. The Eurocult movie fans, I should say.
Okay.
Yeah. There's an absolute joy to those films, and after having seen the first one, I completely understand. So yeah.
And one of my personal favorites for Fabrizio De Angelis is Killer Crocodile.
Yes. That one's readily available. That's on Blu-ray.
Yeah, there's a lovely, you can get a double bill of Killer Crocodile and Killer Crocodile 2, although he didn't direct that one, he produced it. I think Severin put those out. But yes, lots of good stuff. Although he made a film which I'm unfamiliar with, called Breakfast with Dracula.
I want to
which I'm
see that
guessing
one.
is probably a comedy, one assumes.
Well, one assumes, but it's Italian, so who knows?
And then I guess like this film, I don't want to spoil the ending because this film is readily available. People may want to go and watch it. There's a good copy of it on YouTube. And it did
Yes.
also come out on Blu-ray in Germany. So I don't want to spoil the ending, but I will say that this film is a bit of a downer.
Yeah, very much so.
It makes me wonder whether he kind of revisited the theme of this film a few years later with The Last Match,
Yes.
and where he wanted to make a version of this story that was as ridiculous as possible, and like a very opposite tone to the ending of Cobra Mission. So it's like if you feel depressed after Cobra Mission, you can pop The Last Match in and feel like everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, you can pop in Last Match and giggle your way through a similar scenario. Yeah.
There is a shot in The Last Match where it's on a wide, but they clearly didn't tell the sound guy because the boom is right there in the bottom of the shot. Not even just peeking in, but like completely visible to the point where you think, is this secret prison got microphones? Are they miking themselves up? What's going on here?
That was an early attempt at podcasting. Those people were, they were working hard,
prison,
man.
Yeah, the evil prison warden was just documenting his day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, but they kept it in. They kept that shot in the film. It's very funny. Anyway, yeah. So that's Fabrizio De Angelis, and now we've all got to go and find Raiders of the Magic Ivory.
I know I'm going to.
He also produced Paganini Horror, so
Yeah.
quite a few great, great in inverted commas, films in his CV.
No, I mean there's some of the films that he produced. I will stand up and cheer for. Those Violent Rome and Violent Naples and the Fulci films. I'm big fans of. And,
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
1990, The Bronx Warriors, New Barbarians. I'm all there for it. After that is when we get into the I enjoy it, but I'm not expecting you to category.
And then what a cast as well. We've got an interesting cast in this film.
Truly.
I think this might be John Steiner's best, or it could have been John Steiner's best performance if it wasn't for the fact that he's dubbed.
Yeah, the dubbing kind of undermines him a bit.
But like the way he looks in this film, I think he's doing some great work here. And this is the point. So John Steiner, British actor, very prolific in Italian film, particularly in the 70s. By the early 80s, he'd gone back to London because the job roles were drying up. And he started a carpentry business. And that was his main income during the 80s. But every so often, he'd get called back to go and make another movie.
Yep.
And that went on till about the early 90s when he went to LA and got into real estate. So this is the point where he's not acting full time anymore, but he's really good in this film. And it's just a shame that they kind of give him this whiny, he reminds me of the hillbilly in The Simpsons. Like he's got that same voice, which is kind of a shame because otherwise he's great. I think he looks really good in what he's giving a good performance.
Yeah, he's working overtime as far as selling this thing, and the movie's just not really there for him.
He's got this, especially in his 70s movies. He often had this really ratty moustache, and just looked gross, in my opinion.
Well, he was so good. He was so good at looking like a sleazebag. And that, of course, that's often what he was that's the role he was often cast in. Let's be clear. I mean, he's got the face for it, and he's very good at projecting slime and just egotism. And of course, it's a very different thing from what he's doing in this movie. That is not at all what he's playing here. And
exactly.
No, he's quite good here. If this were the first time you ever saw John Steiner, you'd probably be a little surprised if you caught almost anything else he ever made afterwards.
Yeah. And there's some other interesting people in the cast. We've got Christopher Connolly.
Yep.
Who's been in loads of stuff.
So
and
many
he's
movies.
American as well. I believe he's from Wichita
Yes,
originally.
indeed.
And he's in a favorite we did a few years ago, the Atlantis Interceptors.
Raiders from
Yeah.
Atlantis.
But he did quite a few of these films, like Strike Commando. That was another one. He did Jungle Raiders. And,
I just saw Jungle Raiders for the first time today.
oh, wow.
Yeah, the Blu-ray, Severin Blu-ray finally came out, and it hit my door yesterday. So I was finally able.
cool.
Jungle Raiders, of the 3 films that they've put out in that little box set, it's the only one that I had not seen yet, and so I popped that in and really enjoyed it. It's a slightly silly Raiders of the Lost Ark ripoff, and quite fun. But it's it's Margariti.
good.
I mean, they're cooking with gas in that sucker.
Yeah. Yeah. I ordered that, so I'm still waiting to. You know what it's like with Severin. You pre-order something, and then several birthdays pass, and then it just turns up on your doorstep, and
It just
completely
appears.
forgot about it. Yeah, but yeah, lots of good stuff. Manhattan Baby, as you mentioned before, he's in the Bronx Warriors, and then one of his last films was Night of the Sharks. So it's quite
Well,
a varied career.
Yes, let's not skip past he was in the fact that he's in the TV miniseries The Martian Chronicles in 1980, which is probably the first place I ever saw him, and then you can't forget him from his guest spots in BJ and the Bear either. So there.
That's true. I mean, he seemed to be good at guest spots because he did things like The Love Boat and Fantasy Island and
So many
all
things,
that kind of
yeah.
stuff as well. Yeah, just one of those working actors who did TV, movies, just wherever he was required, he'd turn up. And he obviously had, it meant he got to do a lot of travel, because in this film he's in the Philippines, and they also shot some sequences in Arizona, and some in Rome. So he certainly got around. But yeah, going right back to his early career, he's in things like the Alfred Hitchcock Hour, which is cool. So he seems to have started mostly in television back in the 60s.
Well, that's the thing. He started in television in the 60s, and so he's in so many classic TV series, it's kind of scary. I mean, The Fugitive, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, The Mod Squad, Bonanza. It's Night Gallery, Mannix, Gunsmoke, even Barnaby Jones, Marcus Welby. If you grew up during that period, if you're of the age that I am, or even a little older, or maybe even a little younger, you would have spotted him on television multiple times as you grew up. I mean, he was in Benji, for goodness sake.
Yeah. And then there are a couple of actors who are mainly, I guess this was the German co-production element. So we've got an actor called Oliver Tobias,
Yeah.
who was originally Swiss but spent most of his career in Germany, but also popped around into other things. He turns up in British television every so often, and like he did an episode of Hammer House of Mystery and Robin of Sherwood and things like that. He might be best known to some people for things like Jesus of Nazareth, or speaking of Severin, he's also in Arabian Adventure, the film that they've just put out as their latest Christopher Lee box set. And Oliver Tobias he might be one of the only members of the cast who's still alive. He's still working in Germany. And the other German actor here is Manfred Lehmann, who plays Mark, who doesn't really... Things don't work out so well for him in this movie, let's say.
No, he's he is able to take out a helicopter, but
Yeah. And he's actually still working as well in Germany. He's mainly known for dubbing. He did a lot of voice dubbing. Like most Hollywood movies released in Germany have got his voice on it. But yeah, lots of German films, mostly. Manfred Lehmann. I don't know if there's anything with either of those guys that you recognize them from.
not. I mean, well, when they're pointed out, yes, but especially with Manfred Lehmann, honestly, didn't know him. You didn't know him at all. He was a complete blank slate for me. So
He does turn up in those Margheriti films, Codename Wild Geese and Commando Leopard. He's in both of those.
Yeah, but I mean, if so, I was able to just
But lots of people are in those. So
yeah, I was able to just glide right past because
yeah,
he's not somebody who really kind of stuck in my memory,
no.
unfortunately.
And I think in those films, I think they do actually make a point of having some Germans in their crew. So he is actually playing German, I think, in that one. Whereas I guess in this one, he's also dubbed because he's playing an American. So yeah, so those are our 4. The 5 men against all is actually just 4. And then there's a couple of extras thrown in. So we've got Ethan Wayne,
Yeah,
who's one of the sons of John Wayne.
the youngest of John Wayne's sons. Yeah.
And now he's playing a character, Mike, who I think he's one of the kids that they rescue.
Yeah, he's the
believe that's
one
him.
who lasts the longest. Let's put it that way. Was that try not to give anything away?
As rescue missions go, it's not a very good one, is it? Let's be honest.
No, it kind of sucks.
It's almost like they didn't have a plan.
It's weird. You enter into a military confrontation with no real solid plan, and it just doesn't go the way you hope. It's weird how that
Yeah,
happens.
Just turn up with some guns and hope for the best.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Ethan Wayne seems to mainly have been a stunt guy, rather than an actor, which maybe is why he was cast here, because he's got some action to do. But he's in the Blues Brothers and Return of the Living Dead, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the bulk of his time in front of the camera when he wasn't being a stuntman was several hundred episodes of The Bold and the Beautiful, which is a soap opera over here.
Oh yeah, you're right. Wow, over 200 episodes.
Yeah, I think he did it for
Okay.
like 3 years at a shot in the late 80s. Took a break. They had some other actor play the role, and then he came back and played it, for another 100 plus episodes. So, yeah.
He did make an appearance in one of Fabrizio De Angelis' previous films, Cane Arrabbiato, or Angry Dogs, I think that translates as. So he popped up in that a couple of years before this one. But he has a fairly substantial role here, in the final act at least,
Yeah.
as a poor kid who's never been to New York and possibly will never go to New York.
And let's just say the chances of him ever getting there are pretty low.
Yeah.
And the reason we know this is they keep mentioning it. So
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Gordon Mitchell, as I said before, he plays he's got the face to be a colonel, hasn't he?
oh yeah.
He looks very much like a scary military guy. But of course, I guess mostly we would know him, fans of this podcast would know him for his earlier work in the Peplum films.
Definitely. So many of those. So many fun movies. Atlas Against the Cyclops. Oh my goodness. Honestly, look at the movies he made in the 60s and just throw a dart at that list of titles and you're probably going to have a good time.
Oh yeah, so many. And he's another one of these guys who started out in the US and things weren't quite going how he wanted to, so he went to Italy and just played Maciste, and then that was it. Never really left, it seems. He did a lot of westerns as well.
Yeah.
We've talked about him before from Phenomenal and The Treasure of Tutankhamun.
Yeah, this is true. That's right. I often forget how many of these actors we've already stumbled across in various places. Yeah.
I mean, now that we've been doing this for a few years, we're starting to see these same people again and again. Lots of westerns. I don't know if you have a particular favorite of his. You've seen more of these than I have, probably.
Of his westerns, that would be. Well, I'm a big fan, like I say, of the Peplum stuff. Fury of Achilles is fun. Revenge of the Gladiators is a lot of fun. I had a soft spot, like I said before, for Atlas Against the Cyclops, just because anytime you're anytime you're running a Cyclops in front of the camera, you have my attention. I guess I'm like a child in that way. It's like waving a rattle in front of me. Oh, Cyclops, oh, goody.
Yeah. It pulls your eye towards the screen, does it?
Pulls my eyes toward the eye every time.
Yeah.
But
He's in a couple of those Sartana films as well. They're good fun.
Oh yeah. That's just it. Once you get into some of the spaghetti westerns he made, I'll admit I was so used to him in my younger days in the Peplum films that the first time I saw him in a spaghetti western, it just immediately took me out. I was like, "What is he doing here? No. Where's his sword? What are you doing?" But yeah, there's so many fun ones. He's in a couple of the Sartana films, like you said. I've had one kind of waiting for me to get to it called Lobo the Bastard that I've still not watched, but I've been curious about it for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah,
what a name for a film.
But here's the thing: when we start talking about his contributions to the Euro horror field, there's always Frankenstein 80 from 1972. Now, I'm not going to tell you it's a great movie. I'm going to tell you that I love it, but I'm not going to tell you it's a great movie. But he's Dr. Otto Frankenstein in that film, and
nice.
it's you can see it on Blu-ray these days, and because of that, I am probably going to be happy the rest of my life. So yes.
He also found time to pop over to Hong Kong to do a film called The Little Godfather.
No.
Which is quite random in the middle of there. And I think he even did some films in Turkey at one point. There's a couple of Turkish films in the mid-70s. And just always working, but mostly not in America. I mean, I don't know whether he was fleeing some kind of legal trouble, but he
who knows? That's a really good question. I have no idea.
Like he's even in one of the sleazy Emmanuel ripoffs called Queen of Sados, which I believe was Greek.
Okay.
And yeah, lots of interesting stuff and just really random. Yeah, he was in the 80s remake of She.
Yep.
Which was that sort of sword and sandal version of She with Sandal Bergman, and which I can't remember if I've seen that or not.
Oh, I've definitely seen it.
Yeah. Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
It shouldn't surprise you in any way, shape, or form.
And then, he, like working right up to the end of his career, he even had a film came out after he'd passed away, with films like Bikini Drive-In and The Iron Hand of the Mafia. So, yeah, quite a life he had there in movies, just constantly working. And of course, he was also, and it's interesting to see him in military uniform in this film, because he did serve during the war. He was apparently a prisoner of war at one point. So quite an amazing life he had.
It is.
And a very striking face.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is once you've seen him in a movie, you're probably going to remember him because he is a large and kind of impressive physical specimen with blonde hair. You know, he stands out in a crowd.
He has a slightly puzzled expression, I find. Like he's always looks like he's slightly confused by what's going on in front of him. Maybe that's because all the actors were speaking Italian and he was just waiting to say his lines. I don't know. But
I don't know.
There's a certain kind of quizzical look on his face.
I don't know. I mean, because a lot of actors who end up working for a long period of time in Italy end up eventually learning Italian. I wonder if he ever did. You know,
Well, I mean, yeah. He must have done. He was there for decades.
Yeah, you would think.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. But he kind of turns up at the beginning of this film and then again at the end. But he's quite sinister, I guess we could say. Because this film, like I said before, it is a downer. And he is part of the reason that it is. So we should probably say what the plot is, and then we can bring in where Donald Pleasence fits into this.
Cool.
I struggled and could not find a single contemporary review for this film. Like, it didn't appear to have been released in cinemas anywhere that I could find. So I think it was mainly a VHS thing. So it was released in the UK on VHS. And what's funny is that the VHS cover, it's got this action-packed cover, image of a guy holding a gun, and it says Cobra mission. But the tagline at the top, and this ties in with what you were just saying before about all these 80s sort of non-exploitation films. The tagline on the VHS cover is, "This time they get to win,"
Yeah.
which makes me wonder if the person who wrote that had seen it.
But probably not, because that's really just a ripoff from the dialogue and the attitude of Rambo. So,
But yeah, which is funny. Interestingly, this film as well, one of the films that I think it must be deliberate, towards the end, it quotes Chinatown. I don't know if you noticed that.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
one of the characters is called Jake, and then they give the classic line from Chinatown.
Only, they this time it's Vietnam.
It's Vietnam.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting. Like, they're trying to make a point about corruption, high-level corruption.
In the most ham-fisted way.
Yeah. So this film is it's almost anti-American. It's very critical and suggests that there's this corrupt conspiracy at the heart of, at the heart of American politics, and the victims are these poor American soldiers who've been kept in secret prisons for the last 10 years
Right.
in Vietnam.
And the movie does its best to try to make this, to try to make the idea that at the heart of it plausible. It isn't plausible in any way, shape, or form. But
That was my next question. Is there any evidence that this was true? Particularly if there were other films that used this as a storyline. Did it actually happen in real life?
now, see, that's the thing. And this may come off as controversial for some people listening to this, but to be blunt, the whole, POW thing, the thing that went on for, I don't know, 20 years plus, to some degree, it's still going on. This fevered belief that there are, hundreds of prisoners of war still being held in prison camps, American soldiers held somewhere in Vietnam or Thailand or someplace like that. Quite honestly, from the best that can be ascertained, it was never true. It's it's the kind of thing that was generally used to kind of fan the flames, to kick up a certain type of political type into into anger, and to don't get me wrong, there were definitely people who certainly believed it, but the scenario this film paints is so ridiculous that it's just there's no way anything like the story in this movie would be remotely possible. But at the same time, this is where we'd gotten to with this entire thought process in the United States of the firm belief amongst a large percentage of the American population that there were, dozens and hundreds of POWs left behind, as and when you would just start asking for names, okay, well, if you're positive of this, please, provide us with names so that we can go searching for them, or at least try to ascertain whether or not, they actually died over there and never came back, or whatever might have happened. And it's just, as I say, I know this may be controversial amongst some people who are still holding on to this fevered belief, but it never panned out as something realistic. The people who were being held after the end of the war are well known. There are specific individuals who are known, and this thing that was used for propaganda to a large degree, and also to just make tons of money off movies like this, and honestly, as this movie shows, as a way to bilk people out of money, trying to find some type of closure with the loss of a loved one. This is, I hate to say it, but I mean, it's one of the darker aspects of human nature, that it is very, very easy for me to believe this kind of stuff went on, but it's never been the thing that the movies portrayed it to be. Not that doesn't make something an entertaining action film, but it it is one of those things where there's a big gap between reality and fiction.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it is interesting that the film, although it wants to be this sort of action movie,
Yeah.
that it is basing it on quite a dark conspiracy theory at the heart of the film.
And dialing it up to 11,
Yeah.
if you want to be clear. I mean, it really is. I mean, if the most of these movies are centered on, the movies of this type where it's, we're going to go get the POWs back. We're going to rescue these guys. It's a pretty straightforward scenario, something along the lines of the Dirty Dozen, where, a team goes in, rescues some people, there are losses along the way. And then the movie ends with, the mixed bag of dead heroes and dead prisoners of war, and some alive, some dead. Well, this movie would like to posit the concept that there is nothing positive about any of this, and as a matter of fact, we're going to take it down an almost science fictional, unbelievable, insane idea here, and posit something so dark that one would almost think that if it ever came out, if this scenario were true, then surely the military itself would rise up against whoever was okaying this,
Yeah. Oh, and I mean, speaking of dark, as if the ending wasn't a kicker enough, there's then the sort of credit sequence, the end credit sequence,
I know.
which really dials up the misery to quite unbelievable levels. So, stick around to the end. And if you're watching this on YouTube, have Google Translate handy, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
Because it tells you what happened to all the characters.
I know, it's one of
I was
those.
reading, I was like,
yeah.
whoa.
It's,
It's like, as if it wasn't miserable enough.
yeah. Just in case you weren't depressed enough with the outcome of the story. Here, let's tell you what happens over the next few years.
Yeah. Oh, man. So instead of a plot summary from a contemporary review, I have a plot summary on the excellent blog explodinghelicopter.com, the only blog dedicated to helicopters exploding in films. And this thing has been going for years, and I used to follow them on Twitter, and they were very entertaining. So it's worth looking up, Exploding Helicopter. Anyway, so they reviewed this about 15 years ago. So it says the film begins with a bunch of old Vietnam buddies kicking back at the wedding of Roger Carson, that's Christopher Connolly, the wedding of his daughter. And I like that opening scene where he's just sitting at home playing a video game.
Yeah, pole position.
Instead of getting, oh yeah. Now, it would have made more sense to me if he was playing some kind of shooting game. But anyway, that was a missed opportunity.
Well, no, see, that's just it. I think that the reason they have him playing pole position is that, I think playing a first-person shooter game would be the last thing he'd want to do.
I suppose. But he does miss those military days. So his military buddies turn up. And this is all the stuff that was shot in Arizona. One of them seems to be a little bit homeless because he's just had to pawn his medals to buy a suit to go to the wedding. And the other guy has just quit his job at a bar and left the woman who loves him so that he can go. So they turn up at his house. Presumably he invited them to come to the wedding. And then it says here, so Roger and his buddies don't care for the niceties of civilian life, preferring to swap ribald, never know how to pronounce that. Prefer to swap ribald stories of nights out in Saigon. And Roger's stuck-up wife complains that their guests can hear their salty tales, prompting the gang to just walk out of the wedding. Like, this guy's not a great dad.
No. I mean, they're doing their best to kind of give us a sidelong look at how unattached to his family he is. So I get it.
But this is all, again, this is played up in a lot of those films, isn't it? About men who came home, and it was obviously true, I suppose.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's definitely true.
About coming home and not being able to handle civilian life again, and that's the basis of the first Rambo film, isn't it? And films like Coming Home and stuff like that.
Well, I did find it odd that the scene where they go to a bar And somehow they find, I'm assuming, the one bar in the entire United States where there would be
Yeah.
rednecks who actually want to
Yeah.
run down and insult Vietnam vets. It's like, this is the mid. I'm like, really? So
I know, right?
it's like, yeah. I'm pretty sure that. I mean, that was one of the first moments in the film where it was like, yeah, no. It's just, I'm not sure I can believe this.
That's the giveaway that this was written by Italians,
Probably.
I suppose. Yeah. So they go to a bar, and these rednecks are talking about how the World War II soldiers, they were the real heroes, not these Vietnam cowards, I think they say.
Oh yeah, and then do nothing but take drugs. And
Yeah, they get punched and chucked through a window. And then, so they're still bored, so they go to look up their old commanding officer, who is, of course, Enzo Castellari. And they learn from Colonel, what's his name? Colonel Mortimer, which is Gordon Mitchell, that he has been kicked out of the military. And so they go to his house, where they discover that the reason he's been kicked out is because he keeps talking about these American POWs who are still in Vietnam.
yeah,
And it's this kind of conspiracy. So confronted with this shock revelation, the old comrades decide there's only one thing to do: head immediately to Vietnam and bring the POWs home themselves.
why not? I mean, it's not like they have planning or weaponry or
Yeah, there's no
support.
sort of logistics.
No support.
Yeah. Yeah, but what their plan involves breaking their other POW. Their plan involves breaking out their other buddy from a mental hospital where he's been since he came home.
Yep.
But it turns out when they get there that he's basically fine. He just likes it there because he doesn't have to pay rent, and I think he's sleeping with the nurses,
Seems to be, yeah.
which clearly the safeguarding rules at that hospital were slack.
To say the least, exactly. Fraternizing with the patients was apparently not one of the rules.
I think it looks like it was encouraged.
Yes, possibly.
It's like a hospital from a 1970s British sex comedy. But let's just pause for a minute and say I had to look it up to check that it was Enzo Castellari, and it was, because isn't he good looking? Like, he's a handsome man. He's got movie star looks, and he's very good in the scene that he does.
I never thought about it before.
He looks like an actor. He doesn't look like a director making a cameo.
Huh.
I was quite impressed at his movie star presence in his one scene. And it made me wonder why he didn't act more. Because he comes from a family of, like, his brother was an actor.
Yeah.
And he's comes from quite I mean, that's why Enzo G, the G is Girolami, because that was his family name, Girolami. But he went by his mother's maiden name so people didn't think that the only reason he was working in movies was because of the family name of Girolami. But I was just really impressed with him in that one scene. He's got a really good sort of movie star smile, and I don't know. I was like, wow, he should have been starring in this movie, not just doing one scene. But I guess he was busy directing 5 other films at the same time, probably.
Very possibly, yes.
And Enzo Castellari, he's still with us. He was at the convention that I was at last year. Looking a bit frail now. He's in his 80s.
I was about to say, he's really getting up there.
Bless him. Yeah. I had to help him at one point just to walk down a corridor because he moves pretty slow now. Poor guy. But still, he's got great stories and is very funny to listen to. And I got his autograph several years ago at something else I met him at on a Betamax release of Bronx Warriors. So that's one of my prized possessions at home is a Betamax tape. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. I think he's definitely really good. So the guys decide with very little planning or resources, although it kind of suggests at the beginning at least that Roger Carson is well off. He's got a big house.
Oh, definitely.
But we don't know
his wife appears to be
why.
rich.
Yeah, that must be he's married into money. So they've got some money behind them. So as it says here, 1 minute you're at a wedding, the next you're off to South Asia to lead an unsanctioned paramilitary operation against a sovereign nation. So this is where they get to the border and they meet a French priest who is still in Vietnam.
Now let's pause here. This is our Donald Pleasence character. And this is 2 films in a row where he is being called upon, or maybe it's his choice, to produce an accent.
If they didn't say he was French, would you have guessed French?
No, not really. I mean, there's a couple of vowel sounds that kind of felt Canadian, maybe, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
It might have been more convincing if he'd have just gone full Inspector Clouseau. Yes, I have some guns in the in the sacristy. I don't know. I can't do French either, clearly. But yeah, his French accent is a bit wonky. It's quite funny. Reminds me of his Italian accent in Nothing Underneath,
Yeah.
which was kind of bordering on German. And here, I'm not sure. He's obviously French, but spent a long time in Asia.
That's our best guess. Yes.
But it looks like, so all this stuff is shot in the Philippines, and they seem to have flown him down there for this, because he's definitely on location in some little village church somewhere.
And he's definitely in
Where
the
he just
back of that
happens-
truck too. Yeah.
He has a stockpile of guns in the basement of the church, which is helpful. So this gets them started on their mission. And he kind of wishes them luck, and then that's it.
He's out
gone.
there.
Yeah.
Well, see, I did wonder, I mean, because I'd never seen this film before, I did wonder if he like popped up later in the film, the third act, when they were attempting to maybe get their way back out of the country or something. But no, he's just gone.
Well, it reminded me, so speaking of these kinds of films, Margheriti's film, The Last Hunter,
Yeah.
had Luciano Pigozzi in a much bigger role, and in that film he played the priest who is keeping this church going in the jungle, and who becomes a kind of point of contact for the soldiers. And it's a sort of similar role here for Donald Pleasence, because we should also mention, actually, before they go into the jungle and meet Donald Pleasence, they go to this office where people go who are trying to find their sons who they believe are still alive and in Vietnam, and they pay money.
Yeah, a group of people who supposedly will take your cash, will contract to go in country and attempt to find them. Yeah.
So Luciano Pigozzi, this is his one scene where he's there with as playing the parent, the wife as well, playing the parents of somebody who they're looking for, and they pay $20,000 to these guys to help find their son. And Pigozzi seems to be still wearing his pag beard from Yore. And so Pigozzi, at this time, it wasn't a big deal for him to just turn up for half a day to shoot one scene, because he lived in the Philippines. He spent most of the 80s living in the Philippines, working there. I think he had his own company at one point.
Which is crazy.
So, yeah. So there was a lot of film in the film production in the 80s. The Marcos regime, after, I think on the strength of Apocalypse Now, they built a film studio and attracted a lot of production in the 70s and throughout the 80s, because it could double very easily for Vietnam. And the military, the Filipino military, would provide helicopters and tanks and whatever you wanted. Which is, I guess, when you're a dictatorship, you can do what you want.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
So, yeah. So the Philippines were a very attractive place to go and shoot quite cheaply, and so yeah, people like Pigozzi just figured he might as well just stay there, and had a lovely time.
Well, he certainly made enough movies. The thing is, every time I see him, and of course he's always billed as Alan Collins, as soon as I see him in a movie, I start to suspect that it was directed by Antonio Margheriti, because he seems to have been like the actor that Marguerite like kept in his back pocket and just pulled out. Okay, go play this. Go do this over here. He's in almost every movie Marguerite made in the 80s. It's insane.
Yeah. And again, and if like some of the other films around this time that had Filipino scenes, Ark of the Sun God, Codename Wild Geese, Jungle Raiders, Commando Leopard, Strike Commando, Double Target, Zombie 3, Strike Commando 2, Robo War. He made the most of his time in the Philippines.
And don't get me wrong, I have zero problems with Luciano Pigozzi because yes, he's referred.
He's great.
Folks, if you're trying to picture him, he was remarkably Peter Lorre-like. He was referred to often as the Italian Peter Lorre, and he's an extremely good actor. He's one of those guys who clearly could just do anything. He's whenever he's on screen, you know that hey, at least somebody's doing a good job, And the joy of seeing him in so many movies during this period is that you buy him every second he's on screen.
Yeah. If you're giving a film a star rating, you give it an extra star for Luciano Pigozzi.
Right.
Yeah. He's one of those actors who, when he comes on, I'm like, I can breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to, we're in safe hands here.
And that may sound funny to people, but it's true too. Yeah. It is funny and it is true.
Yeah, he's really good. So our heroes beat up these douchebags, I think basically we could call them, who are just taking this money but they're not doing anything. Then they take the money. So now they're bankrolled. They've got $20,000.
Well, no, they take that money and they're supposedly going to give it back to the family.
Oh, I thought they took it so that they could use it to get.
No. They get their money to bankroll the situation by going to their friend's casino.
Oh, that was it. Yes, they go and see one of their old war buddies who's now running a casino in Bangkok, I think.
Yeah, and one of them just magically starts winning like crazy at one of the tables, and they pull him away from the table. And he's like, "What are you doing, man?" It's like, "I can't lose." And then as they go out, the owner of the place, the guy who was their buddy, sends this woman over to explain, "Look, we just let you win that money. Take it and go do what you're going to do."
Yeah, which is all done without this guy saying a word.
Yeah.
It's very impressive. He doesn't move, he doesn't speak, but somehow all of this is communicated telepathically. Or maybe he's got a little Morse code button under the roulette table.
Oh, man.
Because they try and speak to him and he doesn't even talk to them.
Yeah, he doesn't speak at all. Yeah.
And somehow, anyway, that's right. I'd forgotten that bit. So they've got some money, they've got their guns. Now they're going to free some prisoners. And so, like it says here, the gang find the POWs with surprising ease. But bizarrely, the prisoners aren't keen on being freed for reasons the plot doesn't make clear, which I don't agree with.
That is untrue.
It does make it clear.
Well, they
know what happens to them.
Their first clue that something odd is going on is they find a garbage dump outside this prisoner of war camp, and they're modern American canned foods and food product detritus.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, how is this here? These are foods that that really didn't come along until the 80s. What is happening here? And that, of course, after they go inside and they have that little accidental double clutch when one of the soldiers turns out to have been someone who tortured part of the crew here when he was a prisoner of war. So things go off in a way that was not even mildly planned for. I mean, if there is a plan, it's just basically, here's what we're going to do in the next 5 minutes. And in this case, they can't even keep that up because one of the members of the team remembers being urinated on by this particular soldier and just opens up.
Yeah. And they managed to kill every single guard in this place.
And do not even be scratched themselves.
Yeah. The guards don't seem to mind running directly into gunfire. Like they just keep coming.
Almost as if they had painted their own targets onto their chests.
Yeah.
Yes.
There are 4 guys over there with machine guns. I better run directly in front of them.
I could crouch down behind something that might give me some
Yeah.
cover, but why would I bother?
So it turns out that the POWs are not keen to try and escape because they know what happens to people who try to escape. And as we discover in this film, we find out what happens when people try to escape.
Yeah, it does not go well.
They do manage to kill every single guard in this place and blow up quite a lot of stuff. So, I mean, the action is good. There's a lot of exploding huts
Yep.
and gun towers. There's
Fire.
there's nothing built out of bamboo that they can't destroy.
Yes.
And they manage to get most of the POWs into the truck that they've stolen to escape. But I don't want to say too much more about the plot because we're now into the sort of final act where it's a race to try and get to the border with this truck full of Americans.
And this is a readily available film. This film is just sitting on
Yeah.
YouTube, so you can seriously just sit down and spend 90 minutes and watch this.
Yeah, and it's well worth it. It's got good production values, surprisingly tough, sort of downbeat. It reminded me of a sort of, I mean, again, I've mentioned Chinatown, but other new Hollywood films where you're not going to get the standard happy ending.
Well, it's what
It's sort of leaning quite heavily into that, which is interesting.
yeah, it's what Troy and I used to talk about as being a kind of typical 1970s movie ending, which is bad. And everything goes bad. Everything is
Yeah.
downbeat.
Yeah.
It's what the typical example is. You mentioned Chinatown earlier, that kind of ending, or the kind of ending that Easy Rider has, or the kind of ending where you just sit there at the end of it and going, "Wow, so suicide's a good idea. Yeah, I think I'll just go do that. Why don't I just go and either drink a lot or roll it up, call it a day."
Yeah, it's pretty. It's interesting. I like it. So, I thought I was impressed with this film. Actually, like the production values are really good. The script, although it's got its moments,
Well,
is
to me,
generally pretty good.
I agree. I certainly enjoyed watching the movie. I have to say, I do find pretty much all of the big action set pieces to at one point or another topple over into ridiculousness. But I don't mind that because it's an 80s action film. I expect there to be ridiculous moments where you are just rolling your eyes and going, all right, let's go.
And of course, I better, as I'm using the exploding helicopter blog here, let's mention the exploding helicopter. So,
Well, that whole sequence is insane.
yeah, there is a scene where a helicopter is chasing this truck as they're escaping, and everyone in the truck, apart from the driver, jumps out and runs off into the jungle. So he's leading it all away, and the chopper is following him and firing at him a lot, and not a single bullet appears to be able to hit the truck.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah. So then he fires back at the chopper with a machine gun.
Oh, and one of the
like it
most
says-
hilariously silly sequences ever. The helicopter comes down level with the side of the truck so he can shoot it.
Yeah.
It's completely
Yes.
nuts.
Yeah. It's like he's saying, down a bit, that's it. Thank you.
There we go.
So like it says here, the helicopter bursts into flame, then plummets straight down like an express elevator. It disappears out of shot, and we hear an explosion while the camera cuts back to our hero in the truck. It's enraging. Just show the bloody thing exploding properly.
Well, see, they can't. You do understand why, no matter how many helicopter explosions, quote unquote, or the taking down of a helicopter in an action sequence in the 1980s, how it is extraordinarily rare to see the helicopter hit the ground, because then you've actually had to destroy the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very expensive. The only place you're going to see in an Italian exploitation film from this period, an actual helicopter striking the earth and disintegrating into pieces, is going to be in a Margheriti film, because he and his team did miniature work.
Yes. It would have been a miniature truck and a miniature helicopter.
Yep.
And a whole diorama. I mean, so in this one, obviously the helicopter exploding is a miniature, but yeah, they didn't bother to build the ground for it to fall onto.
Yeah, yeah.
So it just drops out of the sky. And as they continue to say here, the helicopter catches fire like it's been soaked in kerosene. You'd think a military helicopter would be able to sustain a certain amount of damage without combusting like a firework. Which is a fair point. It takes about one bullet to hit it, and then it just goes.
Oh yeah, goes up like a poorly maintained 1970s Pinto. Just pops and explodes with flames.
Which just again just another reason why you'll never catch me in a helicopter. These things are just so volatile.
I've been in a helicopter once in my life, and it was terrifying. Mainly because, right where your feet are, you can look down at the ground. Yeah, that's disconcerting, people.
Yeah.
I don't care how many straps are on me.
And just the movies are full of helicopters exploding, and but there are also so many stories of people dying making movies because helicopters have crashed.
Yeah.
And I just
Speaking of,
no.
yeah, definitely, yeah, that's true. Right around this time, there was a pretty bad one.
Yeah. Was that Hands of Steel?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Speaking of
no.
Enzo Castellari.
Oh, wasn't that Sergio Martino?
Oh, was it Martino? No, have I gotten that wrong? You may be right. Oh my goodness.
Oh, well, somebody will write in and tell us. But anyway, that's not the first. There are several horrible stories in movies of.
Well, I'm reminded of the stuntman who in one of the '60s James Bond film lost his foot.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And of course, just a couple of years before this one, we had the Twilight Zone. Thing, which was also a NARM story. So yeah. Anyway, if there's one takeaway from these films, it's don't get in a helicopter.
That's I'm gonna co-sign that with you. Yeah, don't stay out of helicopters. Okay. It's a bad idea.
So the film was released, as I said, VHS was mainly where its market was. In America, it was released by a company called Entertainment Film Distributors. I found a nice advert for it in Variety, where it was being released alongside Reanimator, Troll, the first Troll,
okay,
the Charles Band one, and Star Chaser, The Legend of Orin, which is an animation that I don't think I've seen.
I can't remember if I've ever seen it or not.
Yeah, definitely seen Troll and Reanimator. So, and now I've seen Cobra Mission.
Hey, we don't have to wait for somebody to write in. It was Sergio Martino who directed Hands of Steel. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Wow, I got a fact right.
You got it right, man. I was wrong and you were right.
Excellent. It's about time.
It happens. It happens. I'm just usually careful enough for it to not be while we're recording.
So it got a release in 1986 in America, and presumably did well. Although, like I said, it's been very hard to find any actual documentation about it because I guess it was kind of under the radar, so to speak, with not being released in cinemas. But yeah, there were so many of these films. If you went to a video store in the 80s, there could be a whole section of Vietnam type movies. I mean, some of my favorites, although I've never seen Rambo or Rambo 2, I have seen Red Scorpion and Commando, and I like both of those a lot, especially Red Scorpion.
I'm a big fan of Commando. It is it's an absolute joy of a film. I mean, it's
great.
It's patently ridiculous, and that is why it is so much fun.
Yeah.
It's almost
there was a restoration a couple of years ago, and it came back out in cinemas in the UK.
Oh wow!
So I took my son to go and see it, and we had a great time.
Oh, it's a good movie. Of course.
Good movie for the big screen because I'd only seen it on VHS in the 80s, so it was really fun to see it in the cinema. It's so funny.
You keep reminding me of how much older than you I am, because I saw Commando in the theater when it came out. And it was just, it's just one of those, electric memories of like when I saw the Terminator when it first came out. It's like, holy crap. And then went back to see it 2 more times, It's this electric moment in time where you're like, Yeah, I know. We're trying to pretend that this guy's an American, and clearly he is not an American. But we're going to run with this.
Yeah. No, I think I was only 7 when Commando came out. Was it 1983?
Commando,
Something
I
like
think,
that.
came out in '85.
I was 85. Oh, in that case, I was 9. I definitely saw it on video. I remember watching it around my friend's house, and it was rated 18, so we felt quite.
Oh,
We had to watch it when
it's
when the
very
parents
violent.
were
Yeah.
out.
And when you find out, nowadays we know so much about how much of I mean, they went really over the top with the violence and then trimmed it back to get an R. Yeah.
Yeah, and a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I went to the theatre to see a production of Commando done like a radio play. It was really good. They had 3 actors doing all the voices, and then one guy doing all the live sound effects as Foley.
That's amazing.
So it was done like a kind of classic 50s show, but it was Commando. It was so funny. And yeah,
John Matrix.
yeah. So it lends itself well to that kind of thing. Yeah, it's great. So I've seen that one, and Red Scorpion. I really like the Dolph Lundgren one. But there were just so many of these films. I've never seen any of, like I said before, like the Chuck Norris ones. But there are sort of hundreds of these kinds of films where, like you said at the beginning, it was an opportunity to try and win the war again because it hadn't gone so well in real life. So they just kept replaying it and winning.
Yep. It's like, it's, if I think about it too hard, it's one of the moments when if I had been more cognizant and aware at the time, it would have been a really sad thing. But I don't think any of us could have been aware, at least in America, of how sad it was to be trying to refight a war that was such a miserable display of ignorance and stupidity. Just if you can't win in reality, I guess build a myth.
Yeah. And on that positive note, I think that's probably a good place to.
Wow, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to I didn't mean to bring everything down, but it seems well the film did, so why not?
Yeah, I just think, I mean, now looking back, obviously 40 years later, these films are sort of fascinating social documents of what was going on in the psyche of the country at the time. So I think it's a very interesting thing to look back on. But we'd better leave it there. We're nearly coming up to an hour and a half, which is beyond my self-imposed limit for this podcast. So let's just say that next time, Donald Pleasence does have more to do, because our next film in this season is Warrior Queen. Which is a fun one. I just watched that one fairly recently, so I think you'll like that one.
I can't remember if I've seen that one or not. I probably have. But I can't remember.
Yeah, that one is Sybil Danning and Donald Pleasence in Pompeii.
Then I have seen it. Yes.
Yeah, it's and the budget is so low in that film that they just use stock footage from an old Peplum film whenever they need a crowd of more than 5 people in togas.
Of course.
It's it's pretty funny. Anyway, thank you everybody for listening. If you want to get in touch with us, hopefully you know how to do that by now, but you can use our Linktree link in the show notes, and that will enable you to send us a message, or you can email us wildwildpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on the Instagram there. We're not really on Twitter anymore, so don't
bother.
Don't bother.
Oh, I would like to point out once again the shirts.
Oh yes.
Rarely have I been more proud to own the directed by Anthony Dawson, the Antonio Margheriti shirt. Rarely have I been more proud to have that than having just watched an Antonio Margheriti film that I'd not seen before today. I'm thrilled now that I've seen it's like I want to walk around and wear it with pride yet again.
Oh, good. I need to get myself one of those. I haven't ordered one of those. Although I did order the Severin Margheriti t-shirt that they brought out with that box set.
Oh, I did not. I probably should have.
Yeah. I couldn't resist. So, but the trouble is now, of course, being in China for 3 months, I'm going to have to wait a while to get my hands on that. So,
Probably so. Yeah, it's going to be at least 6 months, I'd say.
yeah. Well, that's true. That'll just be how long it takes for them to finally post it to me. And yeah, so anyway, so we do have merch available. One of these days I will update the merch and try and if you've got any ideas for things you think we should also include, anything from our recent seasons, that would be any suggestions are welcome. And that's probably all I need to say. Anything you want to mention right at the end, Rod?
No. Keep your eyes peeled. I will post up a link on my my blog, the Bloody Pit blog, so that if you want to watch this, I will be able to point you directly to it on YouTube via my blog, so that anybody who wants to play along at home will not have to search this one out. It will be right there for you. And I think you should, if you've got any interest whatsoever in exploitation, macaroni, cinema, the action stuff that are ripoffs of the Rambo stuff. This is right up your alley. This is it's a little more dire and dour than the general consensus would lead you to believe, because even the recent reviews from like the past 20 years that I've read, people talking about this movie, they don't really seem to communicate just how downbeat the ending is. So we're at least warning you.
Yeah, brace yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of YouTube, so the podcast is also available to listen to on YouTube, although we're not providing video podcast content yet. I can't really be bothered, but I know that is quite a popular thing these days. But that's so much more work, so I haven't done that. But there is also, somebody put, and thank you again, there is a brilliant playlist there, so you can look up the Wild Wild Podcast playlist on YouTube, and every film that we have done, if it is on YouTube, then it's on the list. So this will be the latest one to be added there, I assume, at some point. So you can look back at all the many films, the weird and wonderful stuff that we've done that's still there.
Weird and wonderful. Weird and wonderful. I like that. Yes, that is exactly right.
Or boring and terrible, or anywhere in between. Yeah. Okay.
You're really selling it, man. Come on.
I know. We cover all the options. Okay, well, thank you everybody for listening. We'll be back, not sure when, but soonish. Although, again, I think I've got at least 2 more audio commentaries to do in the next couple of weeks, so it might be after that.
Might be.
But, yeah. Anyway, it's, first world problems right there. Thank you everyone for listening. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
The Puma Man. We must find him and kill him.
Whether invoked or not invoked, either will come.
You